The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Monday, another week in the Rev.
No, is it really?
Yeah, we got the big storm coming, and let's see how much money we can spend. At least they'll be plowing snow this time, not blacktop like they were in the last storm. So
yeah, remember, what did they quote us last time? $10,000 an inch?
Yeah, well, good.
So basically this
So I guess we didn't pay much because we only got about an inch. So.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, those trucks were out for hours.
Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing is no matter what, we're not going to be satisfied in Fall River on how snow removal or snow plowing is handled, because we don't remove snow in Fall River, we just move the crap around. But most communities use the 1 inch standard. They don't deploy their trucks until 1 inch of snow has accumulated on the roadways. Even the state, they use a 1/2 inch standard on the highways. It just makes sense. But again, it's Fall River. We don't make sense.
I don't know. I don't know. You think it makes sense to actually wait till there's snow on the ground to begin plowing? I don't know. Maybe we're way ahead of the curve. We've got a new one. But preemptive plowing, now we can just get it out there and plow it the day before.
Well, and you have to laugh because the administration a couple of weeks ago was touting the fact that we paid off our snow removal or snow plow costs because those are the only costs you can carry over from year to year. Well, guess what? Spoke too soon.
Yeah. So now we're in debt for this year's snow plowing.
Exactly.
And we will be in massive debt. So.
And again, a lot of questions are coming up, and the problem I'm having is that for some reason stupidity just seems to run rampant. Driving in this morning, I was listening to Radio Pravda, and the host of the show from the 9 to 12 hour there said very clearly, he says, the problem is we live in the most affluent, the richest state in the country. But in Fall River, we don't, because we don't value things like education. And he's right. The median income across the state is 3 times the amount that the median income in Fall River is.
Yeah. Well, we're like as I said, that's why, that's
we're the cesspool.
Well, I said it many years ago, and that's the reason we've always been looked down upon.
Exactly.
Even when this city actually was fairly viable as a city, when we still had people who owned houses, when we still had people that were working, when we had stores in downtown. Fall River and New Bedford were always looked from Boston as look, we pretend that they're in Massachusetts because we can get their tax money, but they're really part of Rhode Island. We don't want them. And if we ever gave the state of Massachusetts an enema, the left cheek would be Fall River, and the right cheek would be New Bedford. So they know exactly where to put the tube, and that's the way we were looked upon. And people can take. They can take a little umbrage at that, but that's a fact. Fall River has not been looked upon by Boston as anything but the redneck cousin from out in the Ozarks since forever. The reality is that Fall River always has been extremely. Fall River and New Bedford socioeconomically have always been, something that, we just don't fit in this state. When you look at the rest of the state overall, with exceptions of Lawrence and Lowell, which are basically mill towns like us, which fundamentally have the same thing, they don't fit with the Newtons and the Wellesleys.
No.
And as you said, when you historically have a household income that's 3 to 4 times under the state average, and you have the highest percentage of people living below the poverty level and the lowest education level of its residents. Obviously, people from Boston and stuff where they have 4 times the income and everybody has a college degree, they kind of come down here and go, oh my God, can we drive through quickly? Roll up the windows and lock the doors, honey. We're hitting Fall River.
Fall River, exactly.
It's like,
yep. And while we're still doing that on Fall River, you would know a little bit better than I. What the hell is it with this health wellness center? I mean, I wrote about this on the Weekend Flush, and I know that the 6th floor is probably tearing its hair out because I received information from sources, including other media outlets, that the mayor has actually said he doesn't care about the wellness center. He just wants this building. He just wants this building.
Yeah.
And the one thing that you've got to learn is take this as a lesson, Mr. Mayor. Take this as a lesson, administration, mayoral administration. I don't care what you say in City Hall. Somebody's got to call one of us and let us know.
Well, but the sad part of it is the people who are supposed to be involved with this, who they're supposedly asking to approve this, really don't have full disclosure. I attended an IAC meeting about 3 weeks ago where they said that the IGLU building was in the toilet, it was sunk, it was dead, it was finished, and there were two other buildings that the mayor and the city were looking at, but they would not divulge the location, even to the committee that they want to say, we want to get you to help us buy this building or lease this building or whatever the hell they're going to do with it, which they weren't clear on either. And then the following meeting, the next week, they said there were 4 sites at a PEC meeting. And I even questioned, I said, didn't we have just 2 sites the week before? And now, as they said there were 4 new sites, we see on the agenda for the city council, we see that the IGL building is back on the agenda. And to be perfectly frank, I don't know. We don't know a lot of things. It seems as though the negotiations have gone on without the full committee being involved in them. And what we get is what they've agreed to do, which I don't believe is what is supposed to happen. And let me say for the record, this IAC stuff, and PEC stuff, Mr. Mayor, I know you're watching. You and the judge, here come the judge, pull out the PEC agreement. Go to page 6 and read the conformance clause that you signed. It says that if anything in that PEC agreement conflicts with state law takes precedent. Well, let me explain something to you. The PEC should not even be taking a vote, should not even be discussing the use of mitigation money. Because if you look at Chapter 32B, Section 3, which the Insurance Advisory Committee was created, and read the heading on that, and I see CJ's in there whacking it in there. He's getting ready to pull it up. But if you look at what the IAC is supposed to be looking at, the entitlement of that law, and I'm paraphrasing now, it's not verbatim, but it's about insurance, life insurance, reinsurance. It's not about mitigation money. It's about insurance. Not buying buildings and using money that were generated from an agreement that was agreed to by the PEC. So you're violating a state statute. The language that you have in there that says the IAC is going to determine what the mitigation money is for is not legal, even though you put it in. And I said that at the last PEC meeting to Mr. Castro. If you put something in a contract that's not legal, it doesn't make it okay. You can't supersede statute. Statute is clear. Number one, the IAC is purely advisory. And secondly, it only deals with insurance and reinsurance. So that's number one. Number two, statutorily, 32B Section 19, which establishes the Public Employee Committee, clearly states that the Public Employee Committee has the jurisdiction to determine and bargain the uses of mitigation money. And if there's any change in an existing contract, which this is, it has to be approved by the PEC. So the city is doing this dog and pony show because they've got they got rid of they've got an automatic vote there because they have a political ally on there that was recently appointed. So, but it's not legal. And I will reiterate that at the next PEC meeting. I will then also give them a copy of the law, and I'll highlight that law, and just in the event they can't read the heading, and I will highlight the section that determines what the PEC agreement and what the difference between the PEC and the IAC. And the IAC, number one, should not be discussing this, should not be going in front of the council saying they approve the use of this money, because they have absolutely no right to do it. And you agreed to the fact by signing and by the way, Corporation Council's name's on it, former Mayor Flanagan name's on it, which also binds this mayor. The mayor at the time signed this agreement, and as I said, go to page 6 on the agreement. Second from the last item is the conformance clause. That conformance clause is very clear. It says that nothing in this contract shall supersede statute. So, CJ, I wish I could tell you what's going on, but I sat at every single meeting, and I don't know what the hell's going on, because you can't, number one, I don't know what buildings we're talking about, because they refused to divulge where the buildings were, because it's some kind of gets secret until they drop it in the lap of the city council. But they want the IAC to approve money without having full disclosure. Well, I've never bargained for anything without knowing what I'm getting. So, I'm sorry, but they're not going to get...
You mean you don't sign contracts without reading them?
So, I know you brought that up, and I'm going to tell you as someone who went to the meeting, I have not gotten anywhere near sufficient, and I sent a letter a few months ago, actually I believe in December or the beginning of January, which clearly stated that I felt that the Insurance Advisory Committee and its chairman had become a de facto bargaining agent, which is not legal. The fact is, the bargaining is done under 21 through 23 by the PEC, based on Section 19. They are the designated because every single bargaining unit is represented. They have a weighted vote based on the number of people they represent. And this way, 100% of the people who were affected by the usage of this money, 100% of the people who are affected by any change are represented. And then if they got a complaint, they can run to their representative and complain. Because now they have a valid reason to complain, because they'll say, you were representing our best interest. I do not feel that was in our best. Or they do, they can say, great, I think this is a great idea. But in order to know if it's a good idea or a bad idea, I really believe we need full disclosure, because I don't know how we can be looking at this.
This administration, full disclosure? Come on.
We're looking at this while they're still talking to Charlton about creating a clinic. I don't know why they're going to talk to Charlton when it's pretty obvious by what's going on in these committees that this company has got
Yeah, and I reported a little bit on it over the weekend. Hey, and those people who don't subscribe to the Weekend Flush, you miss a lot of stuff, I'll tell you right now. The Weekend Flush is now being carried on other websites. I thought that was funny, as well as some of our columns. Records show that the Fall River real estate consultant was working for the city under another administration.
But he wasn't.
He was working for free. He was consulting for the administration, the current administration.
Yeah, which is, number one, he's not working for the city because the mayor was not the mayor. And so if Kathy Ann Viveris entered into any kind of, she was actually violating her contract with the sitting mayor, because she was supposed to be the city administrator of the city of Fall River for Mayor Sam Sutter.
That's right.
And Mayor Sam Sutter did not, I don't believe he authorized it.
I actually spoke to former Mayor Sutter, and his quote was, "What is going on with my city?" And we're trying to figure it out too, Sam. So but this is going to be interesting to see what the outcome on that is, because I'm sure this could be criminal, it could be civil, and again, it shows the administration that we currently have will do anything to get what they want, regardless of the law, regardless of ethics, regardless of anything. And guess what? As we always say, perceptions become the reality.
Yeah,
and I'm, I can't even deal with that anymore.
Yeah, and there's even a question whether this individual actually wrote the RFP.
RFP.
So talk about being illegal. So you're going to write a request for proposal that stipulates everything that you have, and nobody else can. So it's
Well, the same questions are starting to arise now on the Screw You Here campaign. The Make It Here campaign. So it's going to be interesting.
And also the fences at Maplewood
Park.
Yeah,
Maplewood Park now.
So the RFPs, all the RFPs in the city of Fall River now have to be scrutinized, I believe, because it's obvious that the RFP, which is supposed to give everybody a fair and equal shot at getting city business, is not doing what it was legally created to do.
All you got to do is go back a couple of city council meetings when they're talking about the purchase of a building, and Form K, whatever the hell Form K was, came up, okay? Amazing they found that little thing out of nowhere so that one of the mayor's political hacks, political hooers, can, get the building. It's just, it makes me sick. It really does. But what makes me even sicker is the fact that Nancy Paull thinks she is
the
law of substance abuse. She is the law, and she will put a detox center down on Weaver Street whether the city wants it or not, because she believes she can. Well, guess what? The people of Fall River are already rising up. They don't want it. They do not want it. But here's the problem. This city, over the years, including some current city councilors, previous city councilors, previous administrations, have allowed companies like STAR, like People Incorporated, like SSTAR, like you name it, and they've got them, come into Fall River, JRI, and buy their way in, get what they want, and then throw the citizens under the bus. Why are we a cesspool? Because of these issues. Okay? I will say it now, I'll say it then, I'll say it again over and over again. Drug addiction is a choice. You were not born with it, and if you were, your mother was a scumbag because she couldn't stay off of the drugs. Okay? Oh, is that too hurtful for you? Does it cause you pain to hear that? I'm sorry. Life is tough.
Well,
I've dealt with parents, I've dealt with loved ones, I've dealt with husbands, wives, children, family members who've had to deal with a death by overdose, a death by drugs, and you know what? They all said the same thing. It was sad, it was terrible, we should have done more. Go back to them a couple of years later, you know what they say? This is my fault. I should have stepped in early and said, I'm done, get out. Tough love is hard, but you know what? It tends to work in most cases. If you want to say it's all your fault, I can understand your grieving process. But for once, try to look at this problem. And a lot of people in Fall River are looking at it now, and you're all saying, you're hateful, you want them all to die. No, by allowing our police department, by allowing our school teachers, by allowing people on the street to just administer Narcan haphazardly, just having it available all the time. The drug-using community, and I don't even want to call them that, but that's what they are, the junkies, no longer fear death from an overdose. You have created the new social norm. You have removed any negative outcome, any negative consequence from their poor behavior, from their poor choice. So you have enabled them to do what they do.
Okay. Yeah, so we dealt with the entire, but let's get back to what I see as the major problem with this issue, okay? Now, everybody's feelings on drugs, we can have a very long and lively debate about.
I'd love to have a 2-hour debate on stage.
Yeah, you know, exactly, about drug addiction, et cetera, whether, you know, but let's talk about this thing, this drug facility and its impact on the community. Whether you are for or against this kind of stuff and treatment and enabling or not enabling is irrelevant to this. What is relevant to this is we're bringing more drug addicts from other communities and relieving them of the burden of dealing with these people and bringing them to Fall River. And when they finish their course of treatment here, most of them are not going to go back to wherever they came from. That's a reality. The reality is they'll probably hang around Fall River. Drugs are easy to get here. They're normally not, you know, because they're in one of these facilities and not down in Palm Springs, they probably really don't have a lot of money. They're probably semi-homeless or homeless or indigent. And they're going to be now another problem introduced to the city of Fall River. You know, Fall River has become a dumping ground, just as it has for welfare. All the rich and affluent cities and towns in Fall River who have the minimum amount of public housing all have the same philosophy. Send all the welfare cases to places like Fall River and New Bedford, because that's who inhabits Fall River. They're not even going to notice them because they're all like that. And that's what they've always thought of Fall River. And now we've added another layer of problems to the city of Fall River, because now we want to increase the number of drug addicts that we're going to get in the city of Fall River by bringing people in from other communities. And I do not blame the residents of the North End. I do not blame the city of Fall River for railing against this. I think we're more than doing our part. STAR is one of the largest treatment facilities, I believe, for a city of our size in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. STAR's been around forever. We've done our part. We're doing our part. Let us take care of our own, but let's not import everybody and just keep expanding, because that's what they want to make Fall River. This is kind of like Escape from New York. Remember that old movie?
Yeah, but you know,
when they dumped everybody in the city of New York and all the criminals and turned it into a penal colony.
Right.
Well, this is the new norm. Let's dump all the people that nobody wants in the affluent communities into southeastern Massachusetts.
Right, but you know, Chip, here's my problem. She turns around and she says that she's only got 20 beds available. Well, number one, those 20 beds, if you look at them, and I know HIPAA, we don't want their names. I want you to provide me the weekly list of locations of residents that these patients come from. You want to know why? You're going to see they don't come from Fall River. Because STAR, like many other facilities, is part of a congregate distribution. The patient comes in who needs detox services. They make a phone call to DMH or whoever it may be, and they say, we have an available bed at Arbor Fuller in Jamaica Plain. That's where they're going. So they go from Fall River to Jamaica Plain. Next person calls in from Lowell. He goes to Fall River. Person from Fall River calls in, he goes to the Cape. Or he goes to Springfield. So her argument that, oh, well, it's a burden on the families of these people because they can't come and support their loved one. They can't go and support their loved one because you're part of a system that sends them somewhere else. And you want to put in 60 beds, 60 more beds to bring in 60 more people from somewhere else. That's where I have a problem. And I said in my column, okay, you know, the pervasiveness of lies, that if you drive by that facility, they're all on the street smoking cigarettes. There are cigarette butts all over the place half the time. Okay, the employees walk down to the corner of Stanley and Ray Street, and they smoke across the street from the Durfee High School. And then I've driven by there, and they're making drug deals. But they're at Stanley Street for drug rehab because they have this new walk-in program that they've had for about a year now, which supposedly is successful, but I don't know. And isn't it amazing that the city hired a drug czar, okay, who now coordinates the money that the city gets for this area to give to other agencies like STAR and, up on out in Taunton and Attleboro and whatnot. And he works for STAR, or he did work for STAR. So who do you think is going to get more of that money? Don't get me going. I say the people should unite. They should stand up. They should go up to Stanley Street and picket the place regularly. Stand out there with signs. We don't want any more drug beds, period. We don't no more detox beds. Get out of Fall River. And then she touted that, it's going to bring in more jobs. Social service is the worst paying job in the world. You ask any social worker, anything. And remember, their drug counselors, half of them don't even have a college degree because they're certified by that mock program we talked about some time ago.
Yeah.
So,
and let's remember one thing, too. Let's put this squarely on the zoning board, too. Let's she's saying she doesn't need their approval. Well, I'll tell you what, if I were, North End residents and stuff, go down there and lobby.
Scream.
Scream. Go to the mayor's office and scream. And because, this is, look, like I said, it's not like we're trying to duck. We don't want to treat our own, okay? It's bad enough. That's, as you said, the whole system is screwed up in this state. But I'll tell you what. They send them to Lowell. They send them to Springfield. They don't send them to Newton. They don't send them to Wellesley. They don't send them to Hyannis. They don't, they don't send them to Eastham. They don't send them to the rich, affluent, well-connected.
Yeah, I don't think there's many in the Berkshires.
No, there's not too many in the Berkshires either. So, but this is the thing that gets me. They're trying to tug at the heartstrings, and we've got to take care of our less fortunate brothers. Well, some of these people are in their 4th, 5th, 6th, 15th, 20th time in rehab. And, I know where sympathy is in a dictionary. It's between...
I know where you're going.
Yeah, you know what it's between. The S and syphilis.
That's right.
So the other S that you can't say on this show without getting in trouble. But that's where it is. And you know something? Yeah, you got a problem, you go to a rehab, you get straight, and then if you go back and back and back again, well, time to start stopping the enabling. And as you said, if anybody saw that HBO special about drug addiction on the Cape, they saw the parents at the end of that show basically saying exactly what you said. I'm sorry that I enabled them. I let them stay on the drugs and go to one rehab after another rehab.
Right.
So let's stay angry and let's look at our real estate deals and our zoning.
And we were able to get into the infestation of Cardinal Medeiros Towers with the super bed bugs.
That's right.
But hey, we'll be watching, I guess, our local news. They're going to be covering that today.
And hopefully we'll be on Wednesday. But
hopefully.
We'll see.
We definitely will see. Have a great day.